And good day guys, ako nga pala si Ralf at ang topic natin for today is footings on elastic foundations. Footing is the one of the most important part of a structure which transfers load of structure to the underlying soil. The selection of footing depends on the following factors. First, the depth of soil at which sedge-bearing strength exists. Second, the type and condition of soil. And the third is the type of structure. These are the different types of footings. First, isolated footings. And under the isolated footings, there are three types. First is the simple footings, second, step footings, and third is slope footings. And another types of footings are wall footing or strip footing, combined footing, mat or raft foundation, pile foundation, and strap footings. Isolated footings. Individual footings are one of the most simple and common types of foundations. These are used when the load of the building is carried by columns. Usually, each column will have its own footing. The footing is just a square or rectangular pad of concrete on which the column sits. Step footing. The main purpose of using step footing is to keep the metal columns away from direct contact with soil to save them from corrosion effect. They are used to carry the load of metal columns and transmit this load to the below ground. Slope footings. The strap footings having slope top or side faces are known as slope footings. This type of footings is useful in the construction of formwork. There are some advantages using isolated footings. First, isolated footings are economical. Second, isolated footings are easy to construct and it requires less earthwork. And there is also disadvantages like the soil needs stability all around the base of the structure. The cope with the high load can be very large in size. Separate foundations make this design weak against the differential settlement that may affect the building. Wall footing or strip footing. This is a component of shallow foundation which distributes the weight of a load-bearing wall across the area of ground. Advantages. A strip foundation has a number of advantages that make it most popular one among all other types of foundations. Its construction is technically simple, inexpensive, and normally does not require the use of heavy machinery. It is suitable for the construction of both small private houses and large apartment buildings. The construction can be carried out in any weather conditions. It is reliable and durable. And these are the disadvantages. Strip foundation have a number of disadvantages as well. Building a strip foundation requires the use of a lot of materials. Waterproofing is also required. If above ground structure to be built is massive or intended to build a basement, it requires a great amount of earthworks. Combined footing. When two or more columns are supported by a footing, it is called combined footing. This footing may be rectangular or trapezoidal in plan. Combined footing is provided under the following situation. When columns are close to each other and their individual footings overlap. Soil having low bearing capacity and requires more area under individual footing. The column end is situated near the property line and the footing cannot be extended. Advantages. This type of combined footing is more profitable than another footing. The combined footing is provided to equally distribute the load of a superstructure to the subsoil. The combined footing can be used in difficult construction sites. These are the disadvantages of combined footing. The footing area is reduced because a common footing is used for many columns. In combined footing, it is difficult to maintain the center of gravity of the columns. The general disadvantage of combined footing is that its size should be varied to the place. Sometimes it should be made rectangular or sometimes trapezoidal. Mat or Raft Foundation. This foundation covers the entire area under the structure. This foundation has only RCC slab covering the whole area or slab and beam together. Raft foundation is adapted when heavy structures are to be constructed on soft-made, up-ground, or marshy sites with uncertain behavior. These are the advantages of mat foundation. Mat footing can be provided where the shallow foundation is necessary and when the soil is poor. Mat foundation requires less earth excavation. They are fast form of construction with minimal excavation and are sometimes also used of small clays as an alternative to the reinforced wide strip foundation. Disadvantages: Raft foundation is prone to age corrosion. Skilled labors are required as compared to other foundations. Requires only steel and concrete and hence it will be expensive. Pile foundation. A pile foundation is a long cylindrical of strong material such as concrete that is pushed into the ground to act as steady support for structures built on top of it. Advantages: can be installed in a very large area. Can be installed in a very long length. Work of pile is very neat and clean. And disadvantages: a pile can be damaged quickly by driving through stones and boulders. Vibration generates when piles are driving, which affect the neighboring structure. Heavy equipment is required by driving the piles. Pile is not containable for low drainage. Strap footing. In this type of footing, the outer and inner column is connected by a strap beam thus does not transfer any load to the soil. Strap footing is a unique kind of compound footing with some additional parameters. In the case of strap footing, distance of the column from the edge is very small that it might needed extra excavation. This footing is prioritized when we have limited space for foundation, so instead of separate footings, they are associated with a solid concrete bar. This connecting bar or beam is called strap beam or strap footing. The objective is to have a uniform bearing pressing factor and to limit differential settlement between sections. Advantages: it helps distribute load uniformly and transfer moment to the adjacent footing. It prevents the column from tilting. Disadvantages: strap footings require more concentration while it has been constructed because it has a difficult design. It can become more time-consuming comparatively as the calculation of pressure bearing, pressure distribution, moment, forces, and shear can become complex. It will demand expert workers for its construction.